What's going on, Wolfpack Nation? This is Leighton Smith and Macon Adams giving you the eighth episode of Tuffy Talk. We're so excited today to really just, first of all, just kind of review NC State athletics in general right now. There's a lot of sports going on, a lot that has happened, especially this past weekend that we're going to kind of talk about. And then we'll get into some other things. So, with that being said, let's go ahead and get this thing started. What's going on, Wolfpack Nation? This is Leighton Smith and Macon Adams coming to you again, giving you an episode of Tuffy Talk. Again, just please make sure to, if you're not already, subscribe to us by clicking the button in the bottom right-hand corner and liking this video, and also checking out our other content. And also, too, if you aren't already following us on Instagram or Twitter, please make sure to go to Twitter, Instagram handle, bam, at Tuffy Talk now, and follow us on there. So with that being said, so really today's episode, we're going to kind of talk about the state of the pack. So there's a lot of sports going on right now, a lot of action, some going into the postseason, some still just getting started. So the first sport, which we're going to kind of go ahead and talk about and just kind of get the ugly out of the way right now, is baseball. I mean, obviously, yeah, gotten off to a more than rocky start for sure. Just not looking really sharp so far at the start. I mean, it's still only 6 games into a long baseball season. So, I think that we both can say, I mean, you can't necessarily make any long-term conclusions yet based on necessarily how the start is. But I mean, being 2-4, losing all 3 games to Georgia Tech this past weekend, and losing to UNCG, giving up 16 runs. I mean, just absolutely ugly. I mean, making any initial points on that?
Just looking at some of these individual performances, it looks like we've been getting some good play out of Austin Murr and Luca Tresh on at bat. But I know we really we got a lot of runs in on UNCG, and I think we dropped in that game 16-13. But you sweep Davidson, you lose to UNCG, you lose to UNC Greensboro. You lose to Georgia Tech. So you basically win your first 2, and then you lose. You're on a 4-game losing streak, and all those games are at home. So to me, it's just a matter of, okay, this is not a good look starting out this season, but maybe it'll be something we can get back together, just kind of get things settled down. I know that our pitchers have been struggling. They've been allowing a lot of hits on us. I mean, you look at Georgia Tech's score; it was at least 8 runs they scored against us all 3 games, and UNCG got 16 on us. So we need to figure out something with our bullpen. But apart from that, I just think the problems start there right now, and we just need to work our way from there. That's all I really think about it.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of mentioned the pitching. I think that's what everybody can really speak about, specifically the bullpen. I mean, because starting pitchers wise, I mean, the one definitely piece of good piece that kind of came out of it was Sam Highfield, who was a freshman pitcher that started on Saturday, and he pitched 6 innings, only gave up 3 runs and 6 hits. So I mean, solid overall start for sure against Georgia Tech, and he actually leads the pitching right now with a 4.09 ERA. But that's still kind of scary, though, that's the best ERA we have so far. But again, definitely, the real kind of page turner really again is the bullpen. So we've given up 41 runs in this 4-game losing streak, so an average of 10.25 runs a game, and 31 of those have been given up by our bullpen. So I mean,
that's all I was just saying. It's just that's the problem.
Yeah,
right now. And
yeah, well, and especially like Ken Kleiman. So he came in a relief on Saturday, and he gave up 4 runs and didn't record a single out. Which, I mean, again, yeah, I mean, that's a terrible appearance for sure. But the issue is, I mean, you're going to have guys that are going to have those bad games or those off days. And we got to have the bullpen to put somebody else in there and still pick up the slack, and still finish strong, And right now, I think all of us are really looking going, who do we go to right now? Like who? Like besides our starters, I mean, who do you really go to right now? I mean, Ken Kleiman hasn't been doing great. I mean, Baker Nelson, Dalton Feeney, they got in there and just, weren't we're doing well. And David Harrison has a 5.4 ERA so far. So again, I think that's definitely the biggest question mark for sure for the future that we're definitely gonna have to figure out. But from a batting side,
Well, I'll say this too. Even Avent said he had a quote where he said he said we don't have the arms. I think maybe that some teams have that. It's early in the season, but he said our bullpen is thin right now, or a little thin, I think is what he said. So
yeah,
even he,
which is again, it's frustrating to say the least. But to get back, so I mean, from a batting side though, the biggest thing which stood out to me was I know going into the season there was a lot of hype behind Devontae Brown. And again, not necessarily because again, I mean, from a offensive side, against Georgia Tech, we obviously didn't do the best. I mean, I think we didn't score even above 4 or 5 runs or so for any of the 3 games. But I mean, so right now Devontae Brown is hitting a 1.67 batting average, and he's had 24 at bats. So I mean, it's frustrating to say the least. I mean, I think that we expected a lot more coming out of him so far, and he really hasn't delivered. But again, just the biggest thing is at the end of the day, if we can somehow figure out this bullpen and pitching, that's really what's going to make or break this season. Because I mean, next weekend we got Miami, who I mean just beat Florida in a series, #1 Florida. So
right.
I mean, they're going to be tough. And then right after that, you got Coastal in one game in a midweek game, and then you got Louisville. So I mean, we got a tough stretch coming up. So it's time to put up or shut up, honestly, right now. I mean, otherwise it's just going to get ugly.
Yeah.
So
Dug yourself into a huge hole right now. You're 0-3 in conference.
yeah, it's time to pick it up. So we'll definitely see what happens here coming up this weekend against Miami. All right, so now we'll kind of switch into men's basketball. So again, going from the bad to the, I mean, awesome. I mean, I think all of State fans right now, Macon is super pumped right now. I mean, being on a 4-game winning streak, winning 5 out of the last 6. I mean, it's definitely obvious that I think Keats is shown and the team has shown that they just don't give up. I mean, they have really stepped up to the batter's box. Ironic there, and and have really just, I mean, hit a home run so far. I mean, it's been a great turnaround.
I've been excited because now my hopes are up and I'm ready to get hurt again, kind of thing. But it's like, to me, the biggest thing is the emergence of the freshman. If we were going to have any success, that's what it had to have been. Mm-hmm. And when you have Hayes in particular right now, but more as well. And then I'm tell you what, I'm gonna say right now, I think Sebron's the X factor on this team. Mm-hmm. I mean, he's an athlete like we don't have right now, and his minutes have gone up dramatically. And he doesn't do. I mean, like, to me, if that dude can just figure out a jump shot, and he's going to be really tough to guard. But when you look at the Virginia game, I think the freshmen combined with Hayes, Moore, and Sebron combined for over 80 minutes, I think, and they combined, I think they scored 28 points, I think was the number. Mm-hmm. So, and the game was 68-61 at Virginia. That's one game I'm talking about. That's almost half your scoring came from those 3 freshmen, which is huge. Mm-hmm. But I'll tell you something else, though. I was listening to one of our other podcasts, and actually, in this case, it was Inside Pack Sports, and they were talking about, if you can have those freshmen that play like that, they play well, but if you don't have those seniors stepping up and playing the way they have been, particularly Funderburk, you're not going to be able to win those games either. I mean, you can't count on the freshmen to be that good every single time. But like for DJ, I think he had 14 points, 6 rebounds for the Virginia game. And then for the Pitt game yesterday, he had 13 points and what was the number? 13 points and 3 rebounds. But his scoring has been consistent. And Helms had a double-double yesterday. It was 15 and 10 and 5. He had 5 assists, 1 steal as well. I'm just really, like I said, I'm very proud of the team. Probably good to put it right now. Very proud of the freshmen in particular. They didn't hang their heads down. They just took it and ate it, and just it was like, okay, we're going to just let this be, and or not let it be. We're just going to just we see what this is, and we're going to run with it and change. We're going to put in the work to make this better. and they have. And now they've put themselves in a position to where, there is a conversation of what could be like, maybe they've now played themselves. Maybe they haven't played themselves in the NCAA tournament.
No.
And maybe they played themselves into NIT. But to be back at was it 8-8 in the conference is awesome, because 2 weeks ago it was like 4-8.
Yep.
And now you got to go play Notre Dame on Wednesday, who you should be favored in that game. And then you got to play your last game at home against Virginia Tech. And that should be a revenge game, because they beat you guys. They beat us, I think it was like 72-58, I think was the score last time.
Yep. Senior day. In front of fans.
Right. Mm-hmm. I really think they have a shot to make something out of a season that was looking like it was going to be garbage after all these COVID stops, and after all of the after losing Daniels, and I'm really proud of this team. So I'm going to ask you, Layton, let's say State wins against Notre Dame on Wednesday, and they win against Virginia Tech.
And they're
16th ranked team right now. They'll be 10-8 in the conference. And what would that overall record be?
It would be 14-9.
14-9 on a COVID year. Okay. Mm-hmm. Where do you think State stands in postseason if they were to win out the regular season?
Yeah, well, so it's funny you say that, because I actually yesterday on our Twitter actually put out a poll asking fans what their thoughts were. And so 14% said that it would take us making to the quarterfinals to get in. 34% said it would take us going to semis. 23% said it would take us going to the finals, and 29% said it would take us to win it all. Now, I definitely don't think it would take us getting to the finals or winning it all to get there. I would say, honestly, I would say there's a very good chance if we make it to the semis that we would get in. Make it to the quarter. If
we win two, basically we have to win out and win games.
And I'd say, you have to win 2 games. And I would say I would feel very confident, because that would put us at 12-8 in the ACC. I mean, that's a solid.
I tend to agree. I think if you win out the regular season, I think you're in the NIT.
Yeah.
Personally, but I hate even being talked about like we're in the NIT. But I mean, for the freshmen, that'll be big to have some postseason play, tournament feel, carry that the next season where we need to get back to the NCAA tournament. But I just hate anything in NIT. But it was to do that, if we were to win, I'm going to be very curious. That would have to put us somewhere around, like, maybe right now we're the 9th in the ACC. I'm guessing if we win out, we're 8, 7, maybe, probably.
I would say 7.
Maybe 7. Yeah, somewhere in there.
Middle of the pack.
So I had this discussion with somebody. I was like, would you rather be an 8 or 9 seed playing against the 1, or a 10 seed or a 7 seed? Which would, you would think, but being an 8 or 9 seed is like the worst spot to be, I feel like. I don't know.
Well, I mean, I think for us, I would say honestly in the ACC, besides Florida State, who, I mean, I know they lost to UNC, so I mean, it's kind of now tough to say what was going on with them. Does many ACC teams really want to play us right now, though? I mean, honestly, I mean, we're hot. So
I don't know. I think teams still look at our team and think, we won't. To be fair, the teams we've been beating, minus Virginia, have been the bottom feeder teams. So that's something. But at the same time, State has found their mojo, and I don't know. There's a hotter team, win streak wise right now than State in the ACC.
Well, because what I'm saying is, I mean, if you finish out and you're going into the ACC tournament on a 6-game winning streak, I mean, no matter what, again, that's ACC teams. You're on a 6-game winning streak.
That matchup, against going against Florida State, I'm not really sure who I would be. I'm not really scared of anybody else, really. We just beat Virginia. Now, they had a down shooting night, but I'm not really scared of Virginia.
No.
Carolina's kind of starting to figure things out.
Yes.
So maybe them a little bit. Duke's starting to figure things out. Matthew Hurt's playing really well, and he has the whole season, but he's but the team's starting to figure it out around him.
Yeah.
I'll tell you a team who I would not want to play right now is Georgia Tech.
Yeah.
Moses Wright for Georgia Tech could win ACC Player of the Year. He probably should. If Champagny could have an argument too for Pittsburgh, but I really think Moses Wright, I think he just the other day he scored 30 points. And Jose Alvarado for Georgia Tech, those are older guys. I would hate to have to play them. So, but apart from those guys in Florida State, Clemson doesn't scare me. Syracuse doesn't scare me.
Yeah.
That's bad. That's about it.
Yeah. So, I mean, I definitely see us, depending on how our trajectory goes, we could definitely see a definite potential of at least winning 2 games, hopefully winning that 2-game mark that we expect to need to get into at least on the very high side of the bubble for the NCAA tournament. But
you got to take care of business. You got to take care of business with Notre Dame too. You can't just
absolutely
pass and then totally forget Notre Dame.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. I mean, that's without saying. So, but we'll see how it goes when we get there. All right, so now we'll transfer into women's basketball, which is another very bright spot. I mean, obviously, right now we're sitting at number 2 in the country. Only have 2 losses, sitting at 17-2 overall. Right now we have 4 players averaging double digits in points. Alyssa Cunane, Jakia Brown-Turner, Kayla Jones, and Jada Boyd. Jada Boyd just got announced as the 6th woman of the year. So that was a huge pat on the back for sure for her. Definitely it should be interesting to see. Now we got the ACC tournament here starting on Wednesday at Greensboro North Coliseum. We are going to be playing our first game on Friday at 6 p.m. against the winner of the Virginia Tech, who's a 7 seed versus number 10 Miami, or the 10 seed Miami. And so it should be interesting. And then assuming we win that game, then we would play more than likely Georgia Tech, who's a 3 seed, who we actually beat 84-75 at Georgia Tech. And then we would play more than likely either Florida State or Louisville on Sunday. So, I mean, that's pretty much more likely going to be the road. But I mean, again, it's super exciting to think of the potential that if we can win out and face Louisville, and if we pull off that win, that puts us definitely as a 1 seed in the NCAA tournament, which is crazy. I don't know if we've been there before, but that is a huge accomplishment. Should put us in a great standing to make a postseason run. Say again.
Westmore is a winner.
Oh yeah, I mean, God, I mean, he's 11-0 at home again. I mean, that's. I don't know what our home record's been, but I know Westmore wise, I mean, he's killed it at home, which is huge to say. So,
how far do you think this team can go?
I mean, in terms of ACC wise, I mean,
what would hold them back? I guess is probably a good way to put it. COVID.
Yeah. Well, I would say really, one of the biggest things that honestly I would have said before the season started is really, if Alyssa Cunane is not playing, where does that put us? And honestly, the biggest shocker to me this season has been Camille Hobby. I mean, she has been absolutely amazing in terms of backing up. I mean, against Virginia Tech when Alyssa Cunane was out, relieving her. I mean, she's been amazing, rebounding the ball, scoring the ball. I mean, it's just such a huge sigh of relief, really, to have that person that we could still rely on, even if Alyssa Cunane needs rest, or if she's not playing her best, or if she's in foul trouble, or whatever it is. That is just a huge sigh of relief for all state fans, and they should love. And then, so I mean, really, besides that, I would say, I mean, the only like when we played UNC and lost to them at Virginia at UNC, we weren't shooting the ball well. I mean, like, I know Jakia Brown-Turner had one of her worst games, which, I mean, ever since then, she has really just come back strong and just has absolutely killed it since.
I was going to say she was one of the girls I thought has been a big reason why we've had the season we've had, because she was good as a freshman. She just took a big step forward as a sophomore.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and especially to beat a Syracuse team, which I know from a standings perspective or from a record perspective would not look that strong. But for those state fans who actually don't know, Syracuse was actually 9-0 at home this season. Now, in terms of wins wise, they didn't necessarily beat anybody ranked, but again, it still is interesting that, I mean, obviously they did well and valued winning at home. So I mean,
home was against us.
Exactly. So I mean, it's a great way to for I mean, it's still a solid win to finish the season where only two ACC teams as of right now are ranked in the top 25. Now, again, I still wouldn't sleep at all. Again, assuming we play Virginia Tech first game. I mean, again, I know that's one of our losses, and even when we beat them the other time, it was still a close game and nail biter for sure. So I mean, definitely we're not going to overlook them by any stretch of the measure. And then Georgia Tech's been playing really well as well, has some solid wins. So it's definitely going to be a tough road still. And assuming that more likely Louisville takes care of business against Florida State this year and doesn't flop like they did against them last year. That Sunday game, I know me and my wife were going to be there at that game, and I mean that atmosphere is going to be crazy. I mean it's going to be such a tough, hard game because Louisville's going to be ready for us, but we also know what we need to do in order to get the win. So, but again, it's in terms of winning it all. I mean, I would say Texas A&M, even though South Carolina lost to Texas A&M yesterday, I still wouldn't overlook South Carolina by any stretch of the measure. Definitely look for them to bounce back.
UConn.
Yeah, UConn's there. There's still a lot of opportunities there. Now, do I think that we could easily, have the possibility of getting to an Elite Eight, the Final Four? Oh, absolutely. I mean, I definitely see that in the cards for sure.
I just feel like I feel like maybe our biggest enemy is just having a bad shooting night.
Yeah. I mean, really, and I mean, just staying healthy, just staying within ourselves, and just take care of business. Do what we do. It's really that simple. We have the talent, we have the depth, to go as far as we need to. But again, I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, if we can come out with a back-to-back ACC title, I mean, at least make it to a Final Four. I mean, that's only I think the second time ever the state would have ever been to a Final Four. I mean, how could any state fan not be absolutely thrilled with that? I mean, a national championship, I think, would be great. But I mean, you're still getting Alyssa Cunnane back next year. You're still getting, man, I'm totally blinking.
Reina Perez.
Yeah, Perez back. I mean, you're still getting Kia Brown Turner in it. I mean, so I mean, it's the sky's the limit for this season, but it's going to be that way for at least the near future. I'm telling you. So exciting to see, but. Definitely looking forward to seeing how we do starting this week, and definitely make sure, stay fans, if you haven't already, make sure to buy tickets quick. I know from what I saw that the tickets were going fast, but definitely would love to see you guys there safely to support in the state for sure. All right, so now we're going to switch into wrestling, which I mean, for all those who aren't following us, I was just absolutely just pumped yesterday. I mean, I was exclamating and capitalizing everything. Yeah. I mean, I was just, it was such a big day yesterday. And I mean, to really highlight, first of all, for those that don't know, the final team standings, we had 89.5 team points. Virginia Tech had 65.5 points. So that means that between us and the second place team, which was Virginia Tech, we were winning by 24 points, which is crazy.
We were just whooping the other teams.
Oh, I mean, it was crazy. Now I know that, Virginia Tech was missing one of their best wrestlers due to a shoulder injury. But I mean, still, even if he would have won it all, we still would have won pretty handily for the most part. I mean, we had 6 wrestlers go to the finals. 5 of them won. I mean, which is crazy. I mean, to think about. I mean, that literally half of the way.
Brothers, you got Bullard, you got Drake Wilson, and the other one was
Deontay Wilson.
Deontay Wilson, that's right.
Yeah, I mean. So literally half of the weight classes we had ACC individual title in, which is, I mean, a great accomplishment. And I mean, obviously, I think we were all a little disappointed at the end that Camacho couldn't have his revenge match after losing in such a tough fashion in the dual meet against Virginia Tech earlier this year. But I mean, still, I mean, it was such a close match. And I mean, to say that I definitely foresee them meeting again in the NCAA tournament, possibly even in the semifinal championship area. I mean, hopefully by then, that's when he can get his revenge when it matters for a national championship. So, but yeah, I mean, just and because the biggest thing for me, which I would say, which was a huge, like, wow to me, was seeing Hayden Hidlay and then Tariq Wilson both win with bonus points in the finals matches. I mean, because I know for me, Tariq Wilson, especially over his career, I would say has had a lot of ups and downs. He's shown real signs and real points of like, wow, this guy can be an amazing wrestler for us. But then he's had some bad losses as well. But really, for this season, he's been solid overall. When he's been wrestling, he's been solid, and especially to go into a situation where he lost last year in the AC tournament and in the finals and won, such a handily fashion. I mean, was such a great thing to see. And then Hayden as well, same thing. I mean, up until this point, through his first 3 years, I mean, he looked dominant. But then this year, I think that all state fans can really say that he wasn't really getting as many bonus point wins as we were hoping for. And so for him to, again, kind of establish himself again as that dominant wrestler in the weight class, I think really squares up well for obviously winning 4 straight ACC titles, which is only the 10th wrestler to ever do it.
Yeah, that's
insane to think about. And I mean, especially more likely you expect that he's going to come back and take advantage of the 5th year. And
you could argue that he's in that discussion, I would say now, as being, is he one of the best athletes state has ever had?
I definitely would love
4 ACC titles, never lost. That's what LeVar Ball would say.
Yeah, I would definitely say, state fans, definitely comment below. Let us know what you think in terms of where Hayden Hadley stands in terms of greatest athletes of all time, because I definitely agree. He's in that conversation. But then again, for Trent Hadley, for Bullard, and for Deontay Wilson to all win in overtime. I mean, grit wins. I mean, just we're fighting it out, just pushing and getting that win was just huge, and especially for Deontay Wilson, because I know that the coaching staff have been saying that they've been waiting to really see him compete against top tier talent. Because I mean, I still don't think that we have seen his true potential, and in terms of how high he can go. So it'll be interesting to see.
Trent Hadley's reaction though when he won over Virginia Tech was awesome. If you haven't seen that, you guys need to go find it on Twitter or YouTube or wherever it is, because he flexes while he does a little air guitar. So his tongue is pretty funny.
Raise the roof.
Yeah.
Yes, raise the roof. Yeah, no, it was a great win. So, definitely make sure as well to check out the NCAA championships start on March 18th and go through the 20th. So definitely make sure Wolfpack fans to check them out on that. More details to be provided. But again, just an absolute dominant ACC 3rd straight title, team title for Pat Popolizio and Adam Hall and staff. And definitely looking forward to seeing us get our first national championship. We're all hoping for here coming March 18th through 20th.
All right, so now we're going to talk about NC State softball. That women's team has been really doing a really good job this season so far. They're right now they're sitting at I think in conference 4-2, and their overall record's 8-2. Has put them at like 80% win percentage. And when you look at their games, their schedule so far, Leighton, they had their series canceled against Longwood to open up the season, but since then they've gone 2-3. They've won the series against Boston College and Louisville. And I'd say those last 2 games they played against, or at least the last game they played against Louisville, that was a really close game. They lost that game in the last inning where it was tied 4-4 and went to the 7th inning, and Louisville got that last run in at the bottom of the inning. So that was really close. But then they swept 4 games Gardner Webb, which is what you want to see a team do like that, who's going to just take care of business. But this team has been looking really really solid so far. They bounced back. Boston College, they lost that first game, but they just bounced right back and took care of business. What do you think?
Yeah, so I mean, just to kind of throw off a couple stats real quick that kind of really stood out to me when I was looking at the stats so far this season. So for NC State, so far this season, we have an average batting average of 307, and the opponents were giving up an average batting average of 194. So a clear difference there in terms of offense wise. I mean, how we're excelling on the offense side, but also too holding on the defense side. And then another one as well is that we've actually had 18 home runs. So basically 1.8 home runs per game so far, and only giving up 4 home runs total in 10 games, which is because I know for Coach Swift, I know that she really focuses on the home runs and really just swinging for the fence. And so to see that was great. And then the biggest one, which really stood out to me, was so we've given up only 15 earned runs in 10 games, which pitching wise, we've been dominant so far. I know,
Basically, that's like a little over 1 run a
yeah,
game.
yeah, earned run and because total runs we've given up 23, but I mean I think earned runs really is more of what I focus on. And yeah, so I mean it's great to see us again start off with two solid series wins against Louisville and Boston College, and we've had a couple of shutouts so far against like Gardner Webb. So I mean it's off to a great start so far for softball, and definitely exciting to see how far this team can go. Because I know there's a lot of Sams on this team. Three, if I'm not mistaken, Sam Grass, Sam Sack, Sam Russ, and all of them have had their highlight plays so far this season. So if you haven't seen those, Wolfpack Nation, definitely go check them out. They are home run hitters and playmakers. So definitely make sure to support them. Anything else really stand out to you, Macon?
No, I mean, I just think this team was finished. They were picked to finish about middle. I think it was 8th in the ACC.
Yep.
It's a middle of the road team, but they seem to already be showing kind of a sign that they're kicking butt right now. And that's what you want to see. So they might exceed expectations right now. So this might be this sound to me when I look at this on paper, what the preseason expectations were, and I look at how they're playing right now. This could be a really fun team to watch and get out to go to a game and go see. They're doing really well.
Yeah, absolutely. And then just to kind of finish off, rattling off again, there's a couple other sports right now we kind of want to touch on. So women's tennis so far. I mean, I know they were ranked number 9 heading into this past weekend, and they lost to number 5 FSU this past Friday. But still are 6-2 overall and 1-1 in conference with wins over number 14 South Carolina, number 18 UCFs. Definitely look forward to seeing what they could do the rest of the season. And then women's soccer, they are actually undefeated so far. They're 4 wins, 1 tie. And us two will be starting ACC play against Wake Forest on March 20th at 1 p.m. So definitely make sure Wolfpack Nation to follow them as well. And we'll definitely see what stands for them. I know they've done really well so far under this new coaching staff. So definitely look forward to seeing where they go. Swimming came off to a heartbreaking finish, unfortunately, for the ACC tournament. They both finished second. Men only lost by 2 points, 1181 to 1179. So just heartbreaker there for sure. But again, I mean, we'll still see what they got to do in the NCAAs. Braden Holloway is still doing his thing. Giving both swimming programs to top 10 right now in the country. So we'll see where they finish in the NCAAs. And the last one is gymnastics. I mean, gymnastics has gone 11-3, 4-1 in conference. Because for those state fans who don't know, for gymnastics, we actually aren't in the ACC. We're actually in the EAGL. So that's with teams like Towson, still Carolina, but like also too like New Hampshire, and Temple. So we've gone 4-1 in conference, and we're actually tied right now with first in the regular season. We actually go against New Hampshire here coming up to figure out who's going to win the regular season title. So definitely we'll look forward to see if they could finish out strong and win that regular season title. That'd be big for Coach Cam Landers for sure. All right, so to end this episode, we're going to go to Tweet of the Week. I know we haven't done this since our first episode, so we wanted to bring this back since so much NC State stuff happened, especially yesterday on Sunday. So, Macon, what's the Tweet of the Week this week, my man?
Honestly, dude, I felt like there was no other option. There was no better option than just to highlight 3 straight ACC championships for NC State wrestling. Mm-hmm. That tweet where they have the we are the Alpha Wolf, and they've got the 3 trophies there, and they just about 3 straight ACC championships. When you got 5 out of 6 individual championships, it's basically it has become, I would argue, a dynasty in the wrestling program. And sure. I mean, the only other real competition right now is Virginia Tech in the conference. Carolina's been pretty good, but State's just whooping butt right now when it comes to postseason stuff, and at least in the ACC. And I just think you got to highlight that for just the 1 week tweet. This is the one.
Well, especially in response, because I'm sure a lot of State fans have seen how Virginia Tech, after they beat us in the duel to win the regular season title, they posted saying, we are the Alpha Wolves, or we run the Alpha Wolves.
Throw us the Bulls and we'll come back leading the pack.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, so to see that kind of a response was hilarious. But yeah, I mean, especially too, I mean, because for a lot of State fans too, have seen, I mean, Virginia, Pittsburgh, I mean, the ACC in terms of
programs, they're not bad programs.
no, yeah, I mean UNC, I mean they're strong. I mean for sure. I mean it's going to be a tough conference, and so to win during a time where I think the ACC has been definitely by far stronger than it ever has been, and honestly only maybe second toughest conference to maybe the Big Ten with Iowa and Penn State. Is a huge accomplishment for Pat and Coach Hall and the staff. And I mean, as young as they are, just like you said, I completely agree. Dynasty. I mean, I do not see us stopping anytime soon. So
what else are we going to call it?
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, it's just, I mean, there's no doubt about it. So definitely looking forward to seeing that. So we're kind of finish off, one thing we wanted to say as well is definitely know right now that COVID has definitely been tough on all of us. And so the one thing which I definitely did want, we definitely did want to say was to make sure NC State fans that to support, especially local restaurants. I know around NC State right now, I know Sammy's, Medio's, Groucho's, all those guys are, definitely struggling right now since NC State campuses have been closed. So definitely make sure if you haven't already to definitely go out and support them, have some great food. I mean, there's so many great options, including the ones I just mentioned. So definitely make sure to go out and support them, and I think all of us definitely really appreciate it. So that way they can stay open whenever students do come back to campus. And thank you so much again, Wolfpack Nation, for tuning in again for the 8th episode. Again, just make sure if you aren't already, subscribe to us. Click in the bottom right-hand corner and subscribe to us, and follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Tuffy Talk Now. And like this video and check out our other content if you haven't already. And also too, Wolfpack Nation, remember too that we are going to be doing our first ever live stream on Wednesday. And I know on Twitter we actually said, and I'm going to be sending out tweets soon, letting you guys know that we're actually going to be moving the time from the original 7:30 time to 9 o'clock after the basketball game. So definitely make sure right after the basketball game, make sure to tune in on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, and check us out on there, and feel free to come ready with questions, discussion items. Yeah. So again, just look forward to having you guys there. We're going to be there from 9 to 10, and look forward to having you guys on there. So with that being said, thank you all so much again. Stay safe and always go Pack.